Alright, hello guys, this is Demon coming back for another round of Final Fantasy XIV. So, ended the previous episode having a bit of fun. We've lost several members of our group, finally regrouped with Alphino, but unfortunately he is now unconscious. It suffered a similar fate to Oriange, Stola, and Thancred. So now it is just us and Eorzeea left who are still suffering the ill effects of whoever is calling upon us. If we also remember, we set up the Allegan force field thingy in the burn. Yeah, you know that thing. And I'm now sitting here about to talk to Lord Hien to get to the next stage. So let's go ahead and talk to him. Alphino is safely in constant a private chamber. My finest healer examining him as we speak. Spoken with physician, there are no outward signs of illness. Alphino is lost in a sleep from which he cannot be awoken, just like the others. It seems that even the lands of the Empire are not far enough away to escape that cursed voice. Share your frustration, Eorzeea, I do, but Alphino is returned to us alive and otherwise unharmed. All that remains is to find the means to wake him. I don't know who the hell this is. Hide. Till then, you can but fulfill your duties as a scion, yours and your brother's, both. Hopefully that actually doesn't cut anything out. I always have to be careful that... I know if I Alt-Tab out, OBS has like a 5-second black screen, so hopefully you guys don't get that. You're right, of course. There are arrangements to be made and little time to make them. Business then, my lord? Now that we know Sirius Wall works as intended, can we expect reinforcements for Alamigo? It certainly can. We will send troops to bolster our allies in Eorzea without delay. Pray be aware, however, that we will not arrive without delay. Save for some few who pose teleportation magics, the bulk of our force must be transported by sea, a lengthy voyage for which the smaller vessels favored by the Confessor are ill-equipped. Currently, I mean to enlist the assistance of the East Hydaelyn Trading Company in finding suitable ships. As for navigating the distances in question, we are in a happy position of being able to call upon those who plotted the course of my people's exodus to Eorzea. Beyond the procurement of ships, I think it's unlikely that our East Hydaelyn friends will consent to any involvement in military operations, but I am certain they will afford Alphino a berth aboard one of their vessels. Shall have a Cherrigan accompany him every elm of the way to the rising stones. You got my eyes. You have my thanks, Lord Hien. Higiri, I will go on ahead and, with our friend Salamigo, enlist all those capable of teleportation and put them in the disposal of the Eorzean Alliance. As soon as possible, they will form the vanguard. Yes, my lord. That's exactly what we hope for. At least in the Alliance leaders will be glad indeed to welcome the combined strength of the East. Meanwhile, at the Black Rose Chemical Plant.
Our supplies of Black Rose have been ruined, but the new plant is already under construction. We should have the first batch ready in time for the offensive, Your Radiance. See that you do.
Ah, yes, the infamous Black Rose. If I recall correctly, Gaius did not much care for the invention. A ruthless and indiscriminate weapon indeed, this airborne poison. It seems you are capable of making decisions worthy of your bloodline.
With no gift for sorcery, we Garleans must look to Magitech to even the odds. If it spares the needless deaths of our soldiers and serves the cause of this empire, there is no method I would not employ.
How very noble of you. Truly, though, I must commend you for embracing your role as Emperor. You play the part of the determined ruler Well, sometimes even I catch myself believing.
Talking crap.
A silent agent of death. Now that I think on it, Black Rose may well possess the perfect aspect. Slowly but surely, the deluge of light has worked upon the ether here in the source, and the gas should be most susceptible to its influence. Well, I shall leave you to your own devices. Go forth and bloody the land with your grand and glorious war.
While you do what, precisely?
Need you ask? I will be doing what all Ascians do.
I am well aware that your kind exists only to usher in the next calamity. But you seem oblivious to the harm your singular agenda causes to the Empire. You cannot have forgotten the events which followed your mortal demise. Our homeland was plunged into civil war for your failure to name a successor. The edifice you so carefully constructed was but a hair's breadth from collapse.
Are you truly so naive? You thought me oblivious to the consequences of a departure so painstakingly timed?
It was by design?
Well, of course it was. Though I will admit the resulting panic exceeded even my wildest expectations. But how can you be surprised? Throwing the world into disarray was the very purpose for which this nation was, as you say, so carefully constructed. Now, if you have no further questions, I must be on my way. Since we may not meet again in this lifetime, it would be remiss of me not to offer a word or two of gratitude. I really must thank you for this surplus of vessels. I can mold any host into my own image, but having bodies tailor-made for me in this fashion is so much less tiresome. You dabbled in elegant cloning techniques, yes? It certainly is a compelling, not to mention entertaining, field of research. And of all the options available, you chose the founding father on whom to experiment. You have a twisted streak to you, Varus, like grandsire, like grandson, hey? If events play out as planned, this will become something of a family enterprise. You will be the capstone of this world, I the anchor and shard, and together we will give the lie to this star's fraudulent existence.
You crazy. But just a little bit of crazy. Come, let's return to Lise and share the good news about our Far Eastern reinforcements. Go on ahead, Ivy. I will join you, Alamiga, with our advance party as soon as I can. I must leave now to convene with Eorzea's leaders, and it may well be some time before I return to Doma. Karu, I leave you in command. My lord. Shall summon an advance party with all haste and join you in Alamiga forthwith. Just received word from Lise, the Alliance established a base camp near Alamigo's northeastern border. Once we arrived on the logs, we would report to the Resistance officers stationed in Porta Praetoria, who will point us in the right direction. Let's not keep them waiting. Alright. I gotta spend money. It's out of my money. Like Jesus is angry at me. It's bad. The first thing I think of when I sit there and say that is just Mel Gibson in South Park with his banjo. Nah, I've done worse things I thought of. But it's still kind of funny. I love me old South Park. It's when it was great. Here we go again. Ready to fight the same foe, yet I will not be anywhere else. This conflict concerns us all. Come what may, we cannot allow the Empire to regain its grip on Alamigo. Why is everything lagging? That's a bad lag. Whoa. Here I think we found the guy Lise mentioned. That's a really bad lag. Something bad's about that, but I think my internet's about to clonk out. Oof. Sun's not happy. As we saw, our party was told to look for it. If you follow me, I'll take you directly to Alliance headquarters. Sun does not feel happy. Ooh.
Welcome back, you two. Greetings, Lord Hien. Glad you could join us.
Glad to be here. I would have come sooner, while our own defense is not in question, but I am pleased to report that our soldiers are assembling for deployment to Alamigo as we speak.
We're grateful for your support. Thanks to the efforts of our allies, it won't be long before we've established defensive positions on this front as well.
We have some good news too. Alphino has come back to us. As for the bad news...
So, Alphino won't wake up. Gaius van Baelsar is alive and hunting Ascians, and the Empire is planning to poison us all with toxic gas. Does that sound about right? Ordinarily, any one of those things would have left me in shock. But the way things have been lately, it's all starting to seem pretty normal. Getting back to your report, are we sure this Black Rose is the weapon Maxima was talking about?
It fits the description. And it seems we have Alphino to thank for sparing us an early demonstration of its effectiveness. I have a feeling this won't be the last time his bravery in the Empire will serve us here in Eorzea. The threat of an unknown weapon has had us all on edge. But now that we know what we're dealing with, we can take steps to defend against it. As for Gaius, I'm not sure what to think. Am I happy he's alive? Not in the slightest. Am I happy he's hunting Ascians? Aye, I'd have to say I am.
Oh, speaking of Garleans you didn't expect to see, we have a tale of our own, as it happens. When we sent envoys to the Imperial Army to request talks, they returned with the message that Varys Zos Galvus would be attending.
The Emperor himself. Well, Varys did sanction the Popularis peace mission. But knowing that an Ascian walks in his son's skin, I do not see how we can trust him or anyone from that nest of vipers.
The Alliance would proceed with negotiations regardless, if only to give ourselves more time to prepare. We do, however, require your cooperation.
Right. Yes. So, as a condition for the talks to go forward, the Empire has requested that a member of the Scions be present. There'll be a representative from each Alliance nation, of course, but I'm afraid we have to ask that you come along too.
Gods, Lise, you know how much I hate politics. But then, what choice do I have? Alphino and the others aren't going to do it.
I can't do it. I can't even speak.
Very well. I shall attend as the Scion's representative.
In case you're wondering why I didn't ask you, the Empire also requested the presence of Eorzea's champion.
Oh, I'm not fond of politics either. I'll be there. I mean, what choice do I have? I have to be there.
That's settled then. We don't know what Varys means to bring to the table, or why he wants you there, but having you close at hand will make all the difference.
The meeting will take place on the border. Anticipating an early assault, we mean to position the bulk of our forces nearby.
The Alliance leaders should already be on their way. Once you're ready, we can head out and join them.
This sounds like fun. Charlene could not negotiate peace with the Empire. I rather doubt war can be avoided here. But every moment we steal from our preparations will count in the final reckoning. Is that Varys enthralled to the Ascians? That is the question. If the Empire decided to ignore the rules of parley, we could be fighting far sooner than we'd like. Keep the weapons close. Well, I don't suppose it's polite to keep an emperor waiting too long, shall we? Yes, I want to see the parley. His feet go through the cape. He has magical powers. That's a pointy chest.
Esteemed representatives of the Eorzean Alliance, on behalf of the Garlean Empire, I thank you for inviting me here today. As this parley was convened at your request, I invite you to speak first.
Very well, Your Radiance. I, Nanimo Ulnamo, 17th in the line of Ul, should be pleased to oblige you. As recent events in Alamigo and Doma have made plain, the subjugation and exploitation of neighboring nations is not a sustainable policy. Should this day end in war, you may very well defeat us, but you will never extinguish the people's desire for freedom. Though it may not be in our lifetime, there will be another revolution, another war, and the cycle will continue. Doma has entered into a concord with the nations of Eorzea, a partnership wherein we recognize one another as equals. Garlemald could be afforded similar treatment. You need only set aside your ambitions and join us in paving a path towards peace.
You will not win me over with sophistry, Your Grace. As you know only too well, this alliance lacks the strength to keep the peace within its own borders. Even now, your struggles with the Beastmen continue unabated. Divided, you sow this fertile soil with the seeds of your differences and reap naught but discord and chaos for your trouble. Eorzea must be united under one leader, one purpose. I would offer you both and bring an end to your strife.
With all due respect, Your Radiance, the only thing that you offered the people of Alamigo was fear and hopelessness.
The citizens of Dorma can also attest to the meager arms of Imperial rule. There is no purpose to be found in a life of oppression, each day more uncertain than the last.
Our people are willing to die for their freedom. A great many already have, and countless more will, if we don't put an end to this madness here and now.
We brought order and stability to your lives. This madness and bloodshed is of your own making. You broke the peace, not Garlean.
Peace. Order. You kill our peoples, despoil our lands, take everything that is ours. And what? You expect us to lick the boot that grinds our faces into the dirt?
I expect you to weigh the costs. To recognize that countless lives have been lost on both sides in pursuit of a greater good, and to not squander all we have achieved in a fit of petulance.
Your Radiance. I fear I can personally attest to the dangers of pursuing one's vision with such righteous fervor. For 1,000 years, the Holy See of Ishgard waged war with dragons. A 1,000 years of sacrifice, of sorrow and hate, in which we bathed in the blood of friend and foe alike. Had it gone on any longer, we may well have drowned. Yet we have chosen to raise ourselves out of this bloody spiral, and have since made peace with our former enemy.
So I understand. No doubt the dragons were more receptive to your overtures in the wake of their leader's demise. You speak of peace, yet use war to achieve it. Your father would not have bothered to obscure his intent with honeyed words. He understood that strength is all that matters in the end. Without his clarity of vision, I can but wonder what will become of Ishgard and her people. There was a time when Garlean too lacked a leader of conviction. Weak and unable to wield magic, we were at the mercy of the strong from whom we sought refuge in the bitter cold of the north. Were it not for the discovery of ceruleum and the subsequent development of magitech, we might never have gained the power to take back that which was rightfully ours.
You speak as if your people were the first to have been driven from their homes. Limsa Lominsa was built by wayward souls in search of a place to call their own. On the shores of Vilbrand we found it, and from those humble beginnings did we grow and flourish. And all without robbing our neighbors of their liberty.
So saith the pirate. Am I to believe that you simply asked the kobolds to yield up their lands and that they were happy to oblige you? That you did not drive them out like rats in the hold of one of the many ships seized by your privateers?
Damn.
I will concede that after centuries of exile, reclamation may be mistaken for invasion. Nevertheless, it is not. And those who till stolen soil have no right to object when cast out in turn.
Your uncompromising nature rivals that of the Ixal. They too lament circumstances which they themselves perpetuate. Were they but to embrace peace, we would welcome them with open arms. Indeed, some few have done just that, and now receive of the 12's Wood's bounty. Would that your people might learn from their example.
You dare compare us to the Birdmen? You who thought to invoke the 12 and threaten all of creation?
I came here in the hope of finding some speck of common ground, but I see now these discussions will accomplish nothing. Despite what you people may believe, I am not wont to choose the sword over the olive branch. 'Tis but a pity men are loath to accept one without first being shown the other.
Wait! I beg you. This meeting was supposed to be a chance to find a way forward together, not to bemoan the missteps which brought us here. Please. If you truly consider violence a last resort, there must be a way we can come to an agreement.
As Mistress Alisaie says, we did not come here to bicker over the past, but to discuss how we might strive towards a brighter future. Emperor Varys, may I suggest a short recess, that all present might compose themselves prior to beginning anew?
Very well. I pray this intermission will suffice to move these talks in a more constructive direction.
He seems like fun. Alright. Oh, this is really not my forte. After his Radiance's little performance, it was all I could do but to, not to swear at him. Honestly, I don't know how I ended up playing the mediator. I just asked myself what would Alphinaud would have done, tried my best to do the same, and by some miracle it worked. There really is no common ground to be found with that man, nor do I think he looked for any. So the question becomes, what did he come here to do? Because you may be certain it wasn't to make peace. Whatever it is, I can't make it out, not yet at least. We do have a little time before the parley is due to reconvene, so why not try consulting our illustrious leaders? Mayhap they have some insight to share. Same thing we missed. Oh, the lag's back. Whatever boodle I had in mind was lost when Varys mentioned my father. The man is certainly skilled at keeping his opponents off balance. Parley was never like to bring peace, but I had hoped to learn something of Emperor Varys' relationship with the Ascians. As had we all, yet if he is in league with them, he is not like to volunteer the fact, and if he is not, how much weaker would his position seem for their presence? If we are to broach this particular subject, we will need to be subtle. Would that I knew more of the man, if you would indulge me. Lord, you have received an imperial education, did you not? It is true that the Emperor's will is considered absolute. There's no higher authority in old Golemold, nor else in the heavens. Come to that. Veneration of the gods is forbidden, the only worship permitted being that of its radiance's own person. That sounds suspiciously like a religion in itself. I share disdain for their hypocrisy, even as they denigrate the idea of faith. They revere their leader with a fervor others reserve for the divine. 'Tis a flaw common to much of the doctrine they fed us, logical on the surface perhaps, but contradictory upon closer examination. I wonder if a discussion of the various discrepancies might prompt Varys to reveal something. Varys holds fast to his ideals just as I knew he would. He will not be swayed from this path. Why do I get the feeling the Emperor's hiding something? 12 have mercy, but for Lady Alisaie's timely interjection, we might as well have come to blows at the negotiating table. Not that Emperor Varys left us a great many options. Is unconditional surrender all you accept, do you think? Ere he arrived, I had said yes, but having heard him speak, I could not help but think he came with some other end in mind. Exactly, he's building up to something, I know it. How then should we approach the rest of the parley? Have you anything to say, Warrior of Light? Say nothing of Xenos or the Ascians? Invite Varys to explain himself. I believe he is more apt to reveal his drift if we put him at ease. Mayhap you are right. Thank you, Hydaelyn. I do wonder at Emperor Varys' decision to attend these negotiations. It is plain he did not intention of hearkening to our entreaties. But what then is his goal? Say one thing for this Varys, he is well versed in Eorzean history. His interest in our affairs is that of a beast and its prey. The conqueror would know his enemies. All should know their enemies, yet there is much and more we do not know of the Empire. And it's up to us to change that, here and now. I'm sure Varys would be happy to tell you more. I think it's up to us. Could have me ask the Emperor himself. Well, mayhap there is some wisdom in that. If we can skirt the storm of his displeasure, we may yet come to our answers, even if it does mean sailing close to the wind. Yes. Jesus, I am sick of this lag. Spoken with everyone then? Good. Now all that remains is to await the pleasure of the Emperor and hope we fare better at the second attempt.
Now then, who would have the floor?
Jesus.
Before we resume, I wish to offer you an apology. After you graciously accepted our invitation to discuss an armistice, we have done naught but rebuke you at every opportunity. I believe I speak for all of us when I say we are deeply sorry for our discourtesy.
I'll admit your familiarity with our affairs surprised me, and served to remind me how little I know of yours.
I think all here can understand the desire to reclaim one's homeland. But why expand further? That is my question.
If I may, the answer can be found in the Imperial doctrine they took great pains to impart to my people. Recognizing the threat icons posed to the world, Solus Zos Galvus decreed that they were to be eradicated. To this end, he began a campaign to unite all lands under the Garlean banner. Or so we were taught. Yet the Emperor only reached the burn, the Baron said to have been laid waste by icons, after conquering all the lands that lay between. What is more, I am quite certain the practice of summoning was not nearly so widespread in the days before the Empire's founding.
When you put it like that, it all starts to sound like an excuse, doesn't it? But to distract from what? Why are you really waging this war?
Finally, you ask the right question. I can but hope you heed mine answer, and at last accept the righteousness of our cause. My goal is this: to return the world to the way it once was, the way it was always meant to be. In doing so, mankind will be made whole once more. No longer will we suffer from the dissension born of our differences. There will be but one race, a perfect race, as we were when time began.
What in Rhalgr's name are you talking about?
I am talking about the origins of this star, of the source and its 13 reflections. At the instant of the Great Sundering, 'twas not only the world that was shattered, but mankind itself. Thus were we divided into myriad races, each with its own unique imperfections. That is why man looks upon his neighbor and feels fear and hatred, why he wages war, why he kills his brother. You all in your own way have proven as much today. The peace you seek is but a fleeting solution to a fundamental problem. One to bring about everlasting peace, our worlds must be rejoined.
I apologize about that. I hate skipping stuff, but I accidentally click sometimes and I hate myself for it. Please pause if you need to see it.
That is the goal the Empire would see realized. The glorious future unto which we shall one day shepherd mankind.
A rejoining of worlds.
I have heard this tale of the Source and its reflections before.
Are these not the self-same desires as the Ascians?
Emperor Varys, do not trust in their words. They will lead you to your doom. My father thought to use them, but in the end he succumbed to their temptations. He embraced summoning like so many other pawns before him. Do not tell us you mean to do the same.
To be a pawn, free from the burden of choice, would be a blessing. But I forswore that privilege the day I learned that the Garlean Empire was built by the hand of an Ascian.
What?
Oh no, no,
Yes.
no, no.
My grandsire, the former emperor, is of their number. And who better to build an empire capable of bringing about the calamitous change we desire? Would you condemn me for this alliance? For bowing to the will of these shadowy masters, when the prize is true and lasting peace?
Your prizes lie, your masses deepens. I will stop you and the Ascians no matter the cost. Well, I think his prizes are lie.
I come not to conquer, but to liberate. To free man from the prison of divergence.
Imagine a world united. One perfect race beneath a single standard. An army before whose might these servants of darkness and light would fly as leaves in a storm, never again to meddle in man's affairs. We would be the masters of our own fate. I bid you join me, not as subjects of Garlemald, but of a new nation. And together we shall win freedom for ourselves and generations yet unborn.
You want to trigger another half-dozen calamities? You can't be serious!
Have you forgotten how many died? There will be no one left!
Do you truly imagine we would aid you in your bloodletting?
It is unthinkable. Unconscionable.
Well, I can see where everybody's standing on this.
And what is the alternative? To be as cattle waiting for slaughter? I would have us work together, that we might take fate into our own hands!
Into your hands, perhaps. But what of the other worlds, your radiance? With every calamity, you obliterate a star and every soul that dwells on it.
To the Ascians, we are all but tiny, momentary specks within an indifferent universe. We cannot hope to oppose them until we have been made whole once more.
Are these truly the words of Garlemal's ruler? The flaws and foibles which you so abhor are what make us who we are. Every nation, even yours, Emperor Varys, is made whole through the combination of these imperfections, the strengths of one compensating for the weaknesses of another. While it is true that man succumbs all too often to anger and avarice, he may yet overcome his baser instincts through the forming of bonds with others, fostering community and cooperation. That the protector of an empire should not only reject these fundamental truths, but seek to change them at so dear a cost to life is indefensible. Such a man is not fit to govern.
And you, warrior of light, would you refuse me as well?
We can defeat the Ascians as we are. I cannot condone such a loss of life. We can defeat the Ascians.
It would seem the Alliance is of one mind on this matter.
You Eorzeans never cease to disappoint me. Though I suppose I have only myself to blame for expecting more from savages. This discussion is at an end. I bid you make ready for our next meeting. It will not be at the negotiating table.
Oh, they'll be at the negotiating table, bro. I'll dab on you while it happens. Fun stuff, man. Grand plan is to bring about more calamities? This is insanity. This madman must be stopped at all costs. I expect the Ascians meddled in the Shadows Empire, but the truth is far beyond my wildest imagining. At least now we have known the face of our enemy and need not hesitate to strike at its heart. Glad that we have arrived in time for the battle. Though our vanguard may be small, these few are our chosen elite, the finest warriors of the Far East. The Empire exists to wage war, and war it shall have, but its vast armies pour in like the tides themselves. This could very well be the greatest military threat Eorzea has ever faced. Now let's move down the line. Temple Knights are deployed in full strength. Eorzea's future is Ishgar's future, and our fates ride on the outcome of this conflict. Ascians are terrible beings indeed, that they found an entire nation of feathered and dark designs. It would seem that the Empire's history is as sinister as Ishgar's own. First engagement is Flame General. It's full-scale war with the Empire. I feel some measure of nervousness, of course, but I swear I'll make Father proud in the battle to come. I bet you will, Pippin. Send me to the front lines, if you please. We'll give the Imperials a taste of the Maelstrom's cannons, not to mention my axe. Good. Good. You grew 10 feet taller. Makes a twisted kind of sense. The Empire was built by the Chaosbringers themselves. The revelation yet rattles me, but now that we know our enemies are one and the same, we have a target upon which to unleash the full force of the Alliance. Now that we have learned the Emperor's true purpose, war has become an inevitability. It's time that, like these, I curse my own usefulness in battle. Use the Emperor's words with all my being. Justice is there in an ideal that demands that sacrifice of so many. I was born in the Empire, but I will never serve the Emperor. Only the seeds here command my loyalty. Good man. Well, I think that's everybody. I don't think we have anybody else to really talk to. I know I didn't talk too much this episode, but that's just because there was so much going on in the meeting. I'd rather just the story tell itself. I think we go and talk to Lisa, though. Getting back to the Fine Domain's advance party ready and waiting for battles, so as worrying as our little chat with the Emperor was, it did buy enough time for at least some of our allies to arrive. Oh, yeah, good. We can keep going. I'll make this an extended episode. There's so much stuff going on. Oh, I thought that person was standing on the table and they're missing their freaking bottom half of their knees.
I'm not sure what I was expecting from our meeting with the Emperor, but it wasn't that. Still, at least we know now what he's really after.
Aye, a future built on a mountain of bodies. I too want the Ascians dead, but not at any cost.
The last of the reinforcements from Dorma arrived not long ago. I pray it will be enough. Given the Emperor's stated goal, this is a battle we can ill afford to lose.
If the Garleans come in force, we may not have much say in the matter, even with our combined strength.
We knew from the first that the odds would be against us. But if there is even the slightest chance of victory, we must do everything in our power to seize it.
We must seize it, full stop.
Here!
The two of you are to join an irregular unit and support the main host. I won't bother asking if you're minded to fight.
After coming this far, how could I not? And for once, there's no one around to countermand me. Not that they would. Not even my brother. But we all know who really make the difference. Ready to frighten some Garleans?
Oh, yes.
I wouldn't want to be on their side.
Might I ask you to accompany the Dorman contingent? They are strangers here, and your presence would do much to raise their spirits.
Oh yeah, Delma?
We would be honored.
When our people stride out with you in their midst, I dare say the Eorzeans will feel an ilm taller themselves. High spirits have a way of spreading.
What I wouldn't give to join you. But my duties as field commander will not allow it. I'll leave the front lines in your capable hands.
Worst comes to worst, he comes in with a giant sword and kills everything.
Comrades, ready your arms. The hour of battle has come. May the crystal guide us to victory!
Since the others couldn't be here, we'll have to fight twice as hard. If Alphino wakes to find the Imperials have won, I shall never hear the end of it.
That's truer words that ever been spoken.
It's strange. I thought I would be terrified when the fighting started. I should be terrified. But with you at our side, I can't help feeling everything is going to be all right. So please, don't you dare leave me alone. No matter what happens, we have to survive together.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go kick Varys' ass. My duties feel commanded, demand I remain here at my post, but I have no doubt the front lines are in your capable hands, as we already stated. Is there anybody in the group that's still here that we can talk to? It appears not. Well, sadly enough, that means I have to end the freaking episode. And luckily it is here at this dungeon. Which one is it called? The Gimlet Dark. Last one. Yeah. As I said before I actually got into that last cutscene, I know I didn't talk too much this episode, besides when I had to. This is a really good place to end on, because the next thing we're doing is a dungeon, and then there's another mission we do, and as far as I remember, I think at the end of that one, I think Stormblood Part 4 comes to an end. That or comes very close to it. I'm not exactly sure when it ends. I know I know it's getting close though, and then we get in Shadowbringers, and that's when I have fun. I had fun with Shadowbringers, and I enjoyed it, so I'll enjoy going back to it. But for you guys, unfortunately, I do have to end the episode at some point. So, as I said, no, I didn't talk too much, but there's so much story here. You get an idea. The Eorzean Alliance learns of Garlemald's dark past, and the things that just caused it to be the way it is. It's not really the Emperor's fault, it's his grandfather's fault, Solus. I think it was Solus. God, I always forget his name, because I know him as the other thingy. So, like, it's insane thinking about that. It's like, it was made to be the great evil, the great divider, the bringer of chaos. It's amazing to think about that. And it is bringing chaos. Everybody's fighting each other. Black Rose is this great threat. The only real concern is it going to get deployed here or not? That's the thing. We have that going on. Everybody's still unconscious. Now we don't know what's going to happen. Maybe the voice comes back, maybe it doesn't. I don't like to spoil. Just know that stuff gets weird. It's fun, it's entertaining, and I love it. But I do enjoy this dungeon. This is actually one of my more favorite dungeons. It's a good one. It's a lot of fun. It's slightly complicated. Really weird. It's probably one of the longer dungeons. I like the fighting style. Because all it reminds me of is trenches in World War One. That's all I gotta say. That's my favorite part of it. But before I go on too much of a tangent, I do at the end of the episode eventually. I think we're already at like 40 or 50 minutes. So with that, guys, all I gotta say is this: please like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. We come back, ladies and gents. We come in Grimmauld Dark, and we're going to continue on and see if we can stop the Empire from beating us back and securing Ala Mhigo. I'll be sure to see you guys next time. Thanks.